Hello.
Hello. How
Oh,
you doing?
I'm good. Oh, it's been such a bad day. Mad day.
Oh, well, is this your final week of work or?
Well, I'm moving on Wednesday, so that's why everything has gone crazy because I didn't have an hour today because everything from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was pushed into Monday, Tuesday because I had to move house. So it just meant that it's just been crazy. And this thing's just finished literally just now. So yeah, no, it's all good. I'm glad I could make it because I think the 10th of January now is going to be, I don't know if you saw my note, it's going to be like a spa experience kind of evening. So it kind of makes sense that this is kind of more round
Final.
as much as possible because then we can have that enjoyment around that event and not pull out the content as much. So it's kind of worked out well, I think, through me being
And I think it's
round it all off.
nice for you to be here for the final session, really, isn't it?
I think that accountability to then have the one-to-ones in January is quite important as well. So I think that'll be the final wrap up where we do the reflection of the whole period. But I think today is about just trying to understand the concept of commitment styles and pulling some of that in really and grounding it down, which is where I think you're strong. So I think if we can start with a meditation, I think that's important for today, like a grounding one. And to talk about a little bit about what it means staying rooted, right? Because that's what the phrasing we've used through the course. I think then we can both kind of sub in on the commitment styles and the accountability really. So it's just crazy how quickly this whole program's gone. And now I'm thinking about the next one and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to Bali or not. So it's kind of making things a little bit up in the air at the moment. But I'm hoping like in the next few weeks, I'll just know what's happening with that. Because it's making it quite hard to plan, like whether to push this and fill it or whether it's going to be April. Because if it isn't January, it'll be April. But Bali's a big question mark at the moment, really. So it's hard to plan for anything, isn't it?
Oh, I know. I'm just kind of pretty sick with this government, to be honest.
I know, right? Everyone I've spoken to today has been like so fed up. So it's like, I think that is just really draining.
Yeah.
So we're feeling it, aren't we? I think. So yeah.
Oh, well, actually, I went to Yorkshire to see one of my best friends. She's got a little girl that's like 18 months and they're in the process of moving house, and where they live, it's beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been to like Hebden Bridge.
No, I haven't. I'd love to go up there though. I just feel like, yeah, maybe that's what I need at the moment to escape for a few days. Well, me and my family are going down to Somerset for Christmas, well, meant to be, but obviously at the moment we don't know. Like I don't know whether travel will be on. Like that's quite a big thing, going in Airbnb for a week. So that might not be able to happen. So I think it's just one to go move house and then the rest is like up for debate. As long as I move on Wednesday, I'll be happy.
Well, yeah, because you want your safe space to be in. And
it's really massive. I haven't had that all year. And I think, no wonder why it's been hard. Like that's a big part of the jigsaw, really.
It is. And like I was talking with my friend Claire and she's moving house, and I was talking about me and Joe and all loads of stuff basically. And one of the biggest things in our lives is feeling safe.
Yeah. It's been a good lesson though, the fact that like I haven't put all my faith in the house, in the sense I had to learn that I can give myself that safety, but it is an element that helps, right? Like I do know like, without that I can survive, but still it's like the last piece of the jigsaw. But that's why it didn't happen 6 weeks ago. So universe was like, it's not just about the house, like you have this internal safety mechanism.
Yeah, because essentially home is where the heart is, isn't it? You've got to find it within you. So which is why we're doing this program.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Sam is here. I have heard from Lauren. She's having a bit of a hard time at the moment, so I'm going to catch up with her separately this week.
Okay.
Donna's kind of struggling a little bit with keeping up the last 3 weeks, so I've kind of offered to her to restart in January. I haven't heard from Rona or Kaz, but I'm guessing they're here. But let's let Sam in and see where the others are. But I'm hoping everyone. I haven't heard anything different.
Okay. We'll see who joins this evening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Carol's here. So it should just be Rona, and then I hope there might be a small group anyway today. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Oh, Carol, you look lovely. I love your hair.
I don't know how it ended up like that, but
I love
it.
Like so much volume. Makes me
go with it. It's getting a bit long now. I need to get it trimmed.
Lovely. Hi, Sam. You look all cozy. You well?
I'm all cozy, yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Nice. Good. I'm glad that I could make it. So based on me and Lizzie were just talking about, everything the last few days, so everything I was meant to be at today got moved online, which meant that basically the travel time meant that I could be here because I've just finished. So that's the beauty of going back on Zoom, even though it's been a long Zoom day, like a heavy Zoom day. But yeah, how's everyone feeling? Me and Lizzie were just talking a bit about, you know, the collective, like, fear, or not fear, but feeling of like, oh, here we go again, right? Like, oh, yeah, how are we feeling? Because that does take it, you know, that does take its toll on us.
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to ride with it anyway, you know, and try not get too sucked into it either. But it's hard when you're around people that are like maybe talking about it a lot and stuff, and it's how do you kind of like know what's happening but also not get sucked into that energy as well.
Yeah, it feels quite hard not to, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because I can go all the way and not hear anything update on the news, and then go into a morning meeting at 9 a.m. because I have a Christmas do tomorrow that's cancelled now. And I'm like, oh wow, God, guys, we're back here again. Because I'm quite up here with it all, but I think it makes me realize I'm in the minority because of the fact that actually everyone else, like, there's so much fear, isn't there? So, you know, I hear you, Sam, in that how do you keep your vibration there when actually it's unusual, isn't it? To be so pulled in. What about you, Carol? How are you feeling?
I'm annoyed by it all. I didn't say anything.
You were just saying that.
I got annoyed with this. I didn't say anything. It's her job. This lady at work was putting a sign up saying I had to wear a mask to go to toilet. Like, really? We're in cubicles, and it's not her fault.
Saying I'm exempt and I'm not, but people aren't allowed to ask you why. And honestly, it makes me so angry.
Yeah, there's no reason. Like with a coffee cup, there's no real reason. You can't just say because it's COVID. That does not make sense to me. And yeah, we're just getting used to having some people come back to work, because me and 5 others have not had to work at home. We weren't asked to work at home. We were asked to go in. We want people to come back in and keep us company again. And that's been taken away again.
It does feel like we're just really right back. And I think I was saying to someone earlier, like, our mind doesn't know the difference of like the halfway house. Like, our mind is programmed to keep us safe. So it's either one or the other. And I think that's where all this fear has come from, because although it's not the extreme of what we've come from, our mind doesn't know it works by comparisons almost. And I think that's where a lot of people have gone back into like that extreme feeling of where we were, like right back at the start almost. So yeah, no, it's hard. And I think I was also saying, going into 2022, trying to find this uplifting energy, right? It's hard. Like, that's really hard with the new year, because it's natural that follows us in to like that new start doesn't feel as fresh.
And that's what we had last year, because we thought this year would be much better, and it's not turned out.
April solstice is always my new year.
Okay.
A few months to like get going, and then by April I'm like I'm good, but January I'm like I'm still tired, guys. Just a personal thing. Amazing. So Rona is meant to be joining us. We've had a few people, Christmas parties, very, very various things. But I'm going to be catching up with people one-to-one anyway. So Rona is meant to be coming, but I'll keep an eye on the waiting room. But we're going to just start with a bit of a grounding kind of meditation with Lizzie, just to kind of settle, because today's all about staying rooted, staying committed, you know, which is, it's just hard in these uncertain waters, but it's about giving you as much as we can to kind of continue this work sustainably, really. So Lizzie, over to you.
Okay, everyone, just get yourselves into a nice, comfortable seated position. So just gently lengthening through the spine, and perhaps just rolling those shoulders a couple of times here, just loosening any tension that you're feeling there. And then allow those shoulders to drop away from the ears. I invite you to gently close your eyes. So as you gently close your eyes, let's just begin by arriving now. And so as you arrive, I'd just like you just to feel into the space that you are in, and just noting any external sensations, just some sounds, sound in my voice. There might be some other gentle sounds in the room. There might be some sounds coming from outside the room. So maybe you can hear the road outside. And perhaps just noting the temperature against your skin. How does that feel? And perhaps just tuning into any smells as well. Just acknowledging that. And then just noticing the gentle light touch, perhaps of your hands. Maybe they're on your knees, or they're on your lap, or perhaps your palms are on top of one another. So just feeling the light, gentle press, the warmth of your hands now. And also just feeling the light, gentle press of your pelvis against the chair or the seat, whatever you're seated on. And just really beginning to feel the steadiness and the support of the earth, of the ground, giving you that stability and security. So when we tune into our bodies and we connect with the ground and the earth, and we connect and anchor in with our breath, that can help to bring us into the present moment. And when we tune into the present moment, that's when we can connect with our energy as well, what our energy is feeling like. So we're just going to begin just by anchoring into the body a little bit more, and then anchor into the breath, and then we're just going to connect with our energy. So just allowing the feet to become soft. So again, feeling that support of the ground and the earth, that steadiness. And then allowing the legs to soften, so calves are nice and soft, knees are soft, and the upper legs are soft now. And then feeling a sense of softness in the pelvis as well, just allowing everything to relax. And then from the pelvis, just following the spine now, one vertebrae by vertebrae at a time. Yeah, feeling that length and height and lightness in the spine, allowing it to be soft. And then coming up to the shoulder blades, soft shoulder blades, and then coming to the front of your chest. And then just noticing your gentle heartbeat, just observing the gentle heartbeat. And perhaps as you observe the gentle heartbeat, you might just be starting to observe your breath as well. So as you inhale, just noticing the expansion of the chest and the belly. And then on the exhale, you might just noticing the navel drawing in towards the spine. So just allowing the breath to be steady and gentle and soft. And whilst you're just focusing on your breath now, perhaps inhaling and exhaling in and out of the nose, I'd like you just to soften your face as well. So soften the back of the head and soften the creases in the forehead, soften your eyes, soften your mouth. So just focusing on your breath, so anchoring into your breath. So the process of anchoring is very much like the process of grounding and rooting. Going into the present moment and connecting with the things that are here and now, which can help us to find our truth. When we find our truth, that's when we're in alignment. So as you breathe, what does your energy feel like? And is this the sort of energy that you feel when you're in alignment with your values, with your goals? If you're noticing that there's a lot of tired energy, or your energy is low, can you for a moment just feel into the energy that you need when you are in alignment with your values and your goals? So think about how you feel when you're in alignment with your values and your goals. And whilst you're just here thinking about those things, just keeping the breath nice and slow and steady. What energy do you need? How is your energy now? How does your energy make you feel? So I'd like you to connect with your top 5 values and perhaps your top 5 goals. I'm just going to spend a few moments here just seeing if you can stay in this present moment with those things. And how does it feel to connect with them. Okay. And then this is gently going to lead us into the session. So when you're ready, gently opening your eyes. Okay. So yeah, how are we all feeling about our program goals? Like how so the goals that you set at the start, do you still feel aligned with those goals now, or have they changed in any way whatsoever? Reflecting back on it now.
I think for me, it's confirmed them.
Amazing.
I knew I wanted things to change at work, and part of that is changing some things at home. And yeah, as of January, there will be a change, and it's just moving forward from one change to the next.
Amazing. And so those changes that you made, would you like to share if you want?
Well, my working week is going down by a day, and I'm going to use that day to study nutrition.
Amazing.
So that's the biggies, and then gradually work towards my exam, and then before that decide, can I do something with this qualification, and then possibly move from 4 days to 3 days of guaranteed paid work, do my side hustle.
That's so much progress. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Creating some space.
Yes. Well, COVID did delay making the space, because I had already discussed this idea with work and they were open to it. And then COVID hit and needed to be at work. So. But with the extra holidays not going away, I have been taking quite a few Wednesdays off anyway. So, yeah.
Hi, Rona.
Hello, I just completely forgot what the time was. Sorry.
Don't worry. We're just reviewing program goals at the moment. So just have a little think about maybe how they've shifted, or we're just sharing a few little successes and reflections for the first part.
So Sam, how are you feeling about your program goals?
So I actually didn't set any goals at the start. And in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now having gone through the journey, I feel, and then what I've learned through it and what I've kind of now reflecting on it, I feel I could probably start goals now more in alignment with what I've learned throughout the journey. You know, just even the whole finding your crew and your inner ally, and I feel I've got a lot more awareness about myself and also about the people in my life, what I would like to bring into my life. So yeah, I feel actually now feels a good time to sit and think of a few goals moving forward with this kind of little toolkit alongside. So yeah.
I really like that perspective as well. And I think sometimes it's knowing your personality style to know if the goals are going to restrict your growth, because sometimes the masculine goals can take us down a route that we're not meant to go down. So it feels like for me, that was like that freedom around this journey, taking you where you were meant to go, was kind of really important for you. And I think that's why I always say with the program goals, a lot of people often say, I've not hit any of them. And that's okay, because actually what we thought we wanted and what we then kind of found out were two very different things, I think. And that kind of feels like what you're saying there.
Yeah, and I think as well, another big part of it for me was values. That was something I had never really sat and did. And now I feel clearer in my values. I think that will help also think of the kind of goals that I want to bring in, and then who am I being in order to achieve those goals? So I think it will connect really well together now. So yeah.
Who am I being? I love that. Like that's
Yeah.
it, isn't it? Rather than what I'm doing. Like who am I being to create that shift? And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. So So yeah.
That's amazing. Actually, I was going to say as well, it's interesting with the values work, because sometimes when you are quite new to all of this, and you kind of think like, oh, okay, I've got to find like 5 goals, and you pick a load of goals that you think are you. But actually, when you really start to kind of work, values, when you think those values are really you, and then you really start to work them, and then you realize that, oh, actually, I'm not sure if that is actually me. And so going through this process of this program, that's when you really start to tune into the alignment of whether those goals, values are right for you. So yeah, it's amazing that you've taken this time to process that. And as Natalie was saying as well, actually, what we sometimes think we want and need, actually the universe does not have in store for us as well.
Yeah.
And Rona, how are you feeling?
Totally overwhelmed by life, I think is a summary. Yeah, I think I took too much on all at the same time. And I maybe haven't got the best out of doing these sessions for the last couple of months. I had too much going on, and I guess the reason why I signed up in the first place was to try and look at why I just keep going round in the same cycle of weight loss and weight gain. And I think last week, when we were talking about sort of, my statement and stuff about being the conduit for, I can't remember what I said now, the conduit for, I can't remember what I said now, like recognizing the feelings that you can't name. And there was something about energy and transformation, and
something about a mirror you said.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now. But and that sort of made a lot of sense when I started thinking about it in terms of I need to manage the flow of my energy. Like I need to take responsibility for that and not just absorb what's going on around me and just be constantly reacting and like either riding the wave or being drowned by it. Yeah. But I guess I kind of knew that. But
you can know it though, can't you? But I feel like for you, that's like a real different level of like deeper awareness about, hang on, I can't move forward from this place. Like, right, like you can know it and actually then be willing to actually do something about it because enough's enough. And that feels like where you got. Yeah. And actually that's a bit around the sensitivity of your empathetic nature of learning to manage that as well. It felt like you kind of got to a point where it was like, hang on a minute, yeah, this is really affecting me.
Yeah,
and that's a new journey will be born out of that. And I think that feels like a bit of a crossroads, for you to kind of honor that, realize this is really big, this is a really big part of it actually that's going to stop me from just repeating that.
Yeah, and I think it was very much paralleled in the leadership work that I was doing, which is, again, I'm either pouring my energy into something that is not getting results, or I'm completely, I'm just too much about feeling the emotions and reacting to them and not actually controlling them. Like I've been a real people pleaser with the people that report to me. Yeah, so there's definitely something about needing to take control and not just react. Still don't quite know how to do it.
But it's okay as well if this is the start. Like it feels like, I was just saying to your point, Carol, like that's collective, like feeling overwhelmed about too much going on. Like that is the result of the last 18 months, a lot of that, and actually you've started this journey it might be that this is just the start, but you've got all the tools. And I would say go back and revisit some of them, like slowly, and have, this is what staying grounded and staying rooted is all about. How do we show up for ourselves and make sure that actually this work is being honored? Because it's just the beginning, really. And that's why me and Lizzie, the first time we ran this, struggled how to close it, because it's not really closed, because it never ends. But you've got the tools to pick up on, you know, as and when you're feeling like, oh, something isn't right there. You know, and for me, that's the message here. It is never done, but actually it's just keeping that door slightly open to kind of like commit to more of this, and commit to yourselves through this process ongoing as well.
Yes, awareness, I agree, Samantha. Yeah.
I think as well, it's that, you know, from the work that we've been doing with connecting with our allies and connecting with our leader within, it's sort of going from the subconscious to the conscious mind to make choices around, you know, things like boundaries. You know, Roni, you already said that you're aware of your people-pleasing behaviors, but maybe this program is the next step forward for you to work on those boundaries, on how you can be the best version of yourself in that sense.
So many different levels to all of this stuff, you know, and actually that takes a bit of time for it to go from our subconscious to our conscious way of thinking. And that's the bit that the accountability and structure and the masculine energy is important. And because actually I always say, like, you're reprogramming, I'm reprogramming 33 years of programming from like computer software that's like really setting myself up for survival, right, when I was a child. And actually we're relearning the systems that push us forward, rather than accepting old systems that keep us safe. And that's where the structure comes in, which is actually the sustainability element of this, in terms of bringing it back to the daily action. Without daily action, we won't shift the behavior. And that's then the bridge of what we're doing today. We're looping full circle to like, what does that look like? How does that, you know, ring true every single day? Because that's how we shift behavior. You know, that's the end of the loop almost. Without that, it's very hard to then actually shift the gears, I guess. Cool. Amazing. Okay. So what we're going to talk a little bit about is commitment and our relationship to commitment, because we're all set up so differently around commitment styles. So there was, how many of you have got to the homework this week? It might be that a lot of you haven't, and that's fine. We'll kind of talk through it more generally. I know
a little bit.
Okay, so there's basically like a pyramid. There's 3 elements around commitment, and this is where the self-discovery and discussion around this is going to be really important, because this changes over time as well. But we have 3 levels where either we find commitment important to commit to ourselves internally, to others, or to kind of actions, events, or I guess kind of more, they call it obstacles almost. So running a 5K event, for example. And this next bit is just about understanding how we need to set ourselves up for success in terms of our commitment styles. And me and Lizzie can support you with that process of just kind of asking some leading questions around when you get the best out of yourselves, you know, in times when actually you really push yourself on, like what was going on there? Was it about the fact that actually you're accountable to someone else? Was it that inner charge, that inner fire for your own kind of experiences that pushed you on? But that's important, because then you can shape the accountability, because sometimes if you're setting yourself up with accountability that's not actually in alignment, it can then almost fall down at the last hurdle, really. Lizzie, do you want to talk a bit about how that shifted for you around commitment? Because I know you've done this a few times now, but it might just be good to get that perspective.
Well, I thought when I did this work the first time around, I thought it was quite interesting looking at the different commitment styles, because actually I think sometimes it varies for me dependent on the situation and what the commitment is about. Because I think, for example, if it's a work-based commitment, then maybe actually that commitment style could be because the commitment is around other people, because you've got to deliver for that person or whoever those people are is that you're working for. That as an example, did you think that at all, Natalie?
Yeah, again, it might be that certain types of actions or accountability structures for yourself need to be set up in different ways, but
Yeah.
going to Cam's point, it's all about awareness of actually knowing what you need in each situation and then putting the right accountability in place for that. So what we're kind of going to look at is almost we're gonna go back to almost last week's life purpose piece, and we're going to think about a daily action that means that we're on purpose every single day. This is one example. You could have used your leader within, you could use your values, you could use anything to actually get you to a daily action. But last week we got to the point where we we're talking a little bit about like what's your yes, what you're going to commit to in order to show up as that person every day. We're going to co-create a little bit around that daily action and then explore some of the different ways commitment could look with regards to that. And then you kind of got the tool to then go, and basically the next bit of the work between now and Christmas and New Year is an action plan that actually sets yourself up for success and puts the structure in place for some of this behavior to change. So I'm going to pop us into kind of some small groups. So there'll be 1, 3, and then 1 just with one other, if that makes sense. But have a little think just for a few minutes, just around something that feels important for you to kind of work this through with, that is something that's important for you to be bringing every single day. Lizzie, do you want to provide an example just of something that you're currently showing up for and staying rooted with every day? And it doesn't have to be every day, but it's about repetition. It's about, regularity, because that's how we kind of reprogram, some of those neural pathways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think one of my, because I've got lots of values, but one of the values is, I think, to stay sort of present in the moment. So like joy, for example, present moment is joy for me. So practicing yoga on a daily basis helps me to connect with the present moment, and it's joyful for me. And so I, began probably when I first, yoga has been part of my life now for 10 years. But when I first started, I was doing yoga once a week before I became a teacher. And then slowly, I think like over the months, I started building up to like twice a week. And now I'm sort of probably practicing like 4 or 5 times a week now. And so, that's the thing, you've got to be kind and gentle with yourself as well, whilst you're putting these actions and habits into place as well. So start small, and then you can reward yourself sort of on a weekly basis for, having done that one day of practice for whatever that habit is, as an example. And, through daily habits, that's when we create the, what's the word? I can't think of it now. You know what I mean, Natalie.
I don't know that I do in this instance. What
no, so okay, how many, so to create a habit,
yeah,
for example, how many days does it take?
28.
28 days. Okay.
So again, but it's actually minimum 28. So they say like a lifestyle change is like, I think it's something like 67 actually. So it's between 28 and like 67 around a habit, but a lifestyle change is like even longer. It can be 3 months.
Yeah, so I think it depends on what the habit is.
Yeah, and you can start to see how 3 months of you guys showing up in this space, you'd have created some kind of real shifts there. But you can then see what's possible around actually kind of like moving some of those, belief systems, behaviors, actions. But I think for us, we want to set you up with almost the process around almost 1 or 2, because then you can go and replicate that for any area of your life as and when you kind of go off kilter a bit. Because I always say, like, you will lose yourself. Again, we all will, but actually as long as we know how to get back up and actually stay on our path, that's all that matters. It's not about staying there every single day, but it's about knowing that you've got the tools to implement as and when we need to. And that's what today is all about, just helping each other explore kind of what that commitment feels like. For some of us, we might be saying right now I need to rest and recoup. It feels like Rona, maybe that's actually about a commitment to rest. It doesn't have to be action, but actually if that is a commitment to rest, what accountability and structure needs to be put in place? And for me, what needs to go? What's the no that will actually free up space for the yes, for rest? So there's still accountability around that if it's softer,
So that's connecting again, that's connecting with boundaries and actually putting a boundary in for yourself.
Exactly. So have a little think just for 1 minute or so whilst I do pop you into groups, and bring that into your little breakout. We'll have maybe 5 to 7 minutes there. Then we'll kind of come back as a collective. We'll round up the action planning stuff. We'll talk a little bit about, yeah, anything that almost from you guys feels unfinished, any questions, anything that you want in terms of tools and resources moving forward. And then, yeah, we'll kind of formally wrap up. But it's, God, it's gone quickly, hasn't it, this time? Okay, let me just pop people in. So I'm going to do 2 breakout rooms. Some very strange music going on in my house, and I don't know where it's coming from. Okay, so I'm going to put you guys in one, and then these 2 in another. Amazing. Okay, off we go, guys.
Hello. Oh, you're muted, Carol.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I love your egg chair, by the way. It looks like an egg anyway.
Yeah, I call it an egg chair, yes.
Is it kind of free? Is it obviously free from
It's hanging, yes, as a stand. It's supposed to go outside, but it came like a month ago, so we're having it inside over the winter.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Just feels like it's like a throne almost.
So, well, yeah, if I like to sit
Like the
back
Big
in all
Brother
the cushions, it's lovely.
Yeah.
We stayed with friends in September in Shropshire, and they had one in the garden, and Andy loved it so much. As soon as we got home, he ordered one.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Amazing. So who wants to kind of bring kind of something that they want to ground in, stay rooted on? Who wants to kick us off? Because this is all about using each other in the space to just kind of structure some accountability, really.
Do you want to, Rona?
Might need some help. Yeah, can do. Yep, I can try.
We'll help you. If you just want to throw words at us, we'll try and like reformulate and then throw it back. You know, maybe it's about us figuring out. Sometimes it's translating it, isn't it? I'm just going to close the door a second too.
All right. I just don't know how to stop myself from keep making the same mistakes. Like, I know that maybe part of the thing is about resting. That is part of that. And part of it is about, you know, sort of taking more control to not let things get to the point where it's overwhelming. But I still don't really know how. how to do that.
What do you feel, what do you feel when it gets to the overwhelming? Is there any warning signs? Or is it once it's there, you know it's there?
That's the thing. I've been very curious this whole time about like the embodiment work kind of thing, because I think I'm just oblivious most of the time. And I'm not very connected to what I'm really feeling. And then all of a sudden I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then once you're in that place, you can't just stop, because it's a bit like, you know, wheels are in motion, you're zooming down a hill, gravity's taken hold, there is no stopping that then at that point. So, and that's what kind of happens, I guess, is, you know, like, I signed up to this, I had my leadership assignments, needed to recommit with the fitness instructor that we're seeing, and, you know, get to this point in the year where it would now be getting ready for Christmas and everything. It's like, though, like like some of those things, there was just no way to put the brakes on those things, you know.
I really resonate with what you're saying there, because I'm on the same journey myself, and they call it introspection. So if you want to like write down that word because you might be able to find out a bit more information around it. But we are disconnected from our body. And actually, for me, that starts with slowing down, because you can't keep up or listen to your body's signs or kind of it not be a reaction if you're kind of always on the hamster wheel. So for me, it feels a little bit related to slowing down and connecting to kind of those softer moments where you've not got those distractions. You can go for a walk without your phone, because it's like training a muscle. Like, you've kind of got to relearn that connection to your body. But actually, it's got to start with stillness and space, because actually, if you're going to it with the same approach to like the busyness, you're never going to be able to actually like check in and listen. Like, how do I feel today? How does this feel like to me today? Or notice actually when your breathing quickens or when your palms go a bit sweaty. Because actually, that's the first stage. Our body's showing us signs all the time, but we're not.
I pick up on it when I get this sort of heavy chest feeling, and like I know I'm not breathing properly.
Can you rebalance? Can you recenter yourself when you're at that moment? Is that something maybe you can put in place, maybe a breathing technique or mindfulness of what I do is I see, hear, taste, smell. I point out 5 things. I rebalance my body and bring it back into balance. Is that something you can start to recenter?
Yeah. I just bought some chakra stones. Something I used to kind of do a bit more of, that sort of spiritualist meditation. I don't even know what all that is called, really.
I think it matters what it's called. If it
no, but like, I don't know where to go. Like, when I lived in South Wales, I used to go to just rocked up in this meditation class that was turned out to be all about energies and crystals and things, and then actually ended up in this sort of clairvoyancy group, which it feels like a bit of a tangent to what we're talking about now, but that was very much a part of me. And going back,
have you heard of Santosha Wellbeing in Wallingford? Where do you live?
Whitney.
Okay, that I'd check out. I know it's like the other side for you, but I think for you it's something about finding a space, a physical space that maybe you can connect to, that brings some of these holistic services in that you can then benefit from again. But it sounds like the physical space, if you're going there, say once a week, that structure might give you a container to continue some of this work. It feels like that's important, to go outside of your normal bubble and go into kind of a safe space. And for me, that's something that's really helped. So maybe there's a commitment here around finding that well-being space.
I was hoping I would use this for.
And it is, but it's further.
I just haven't, I've rushed into this, lastminute.com every week, having not put aside time to do the preparation, having not,
But that's why a physical space might you a bit more.
I completely agree with what you're saying, Natalie.
Embodiment of a physical space and connecting to physical, driving somewhere where you physically can't take your phone in, and you can't, do you know what I mean? It's different with that physical. Maybe commitment here about how do we find that physical space to continue this work.
It'd like be a commitment to yourself, and it'd be a commitment to the teacher that you're going to their class, and they would expect you to be there and you want to be there.
Are you again, lastminute.com, you see I'm holding my phone to do this call, so I can't actually really write anything down without pointing you at
you the centers that I know, and you can maybe even, I actually work from Santosha, but I can maybe even connect with you around meeting you there in the new year and doing a class together. Like, that's the kind of accountability that you might need to be like, no, we're going to go and explore that space together. That might kind of kickstart, because I am more and more, I'm going to be delivering classes there, the one in Wallingford. It's a bit of a mission from Whitney, but it might.
Oxford though, so so that's not so far from Oxford then, is it?
Okay, cool. Amazing. There's some accountability there. What about you, Carol? What feels like the most important piece? Is it about creating this space for the side hustle and continuing that, or is it something different?
Yes, at the moment it's about using, that 1 day a week to work on recipes, meal plans, get ready for the exam. Yeah, that's my focus.
What do you need to make that a success, like that you're not already doing? Is there some extra accountability?
I need to not waste my Wednesdays in catching up with everything else I haven't done. I feel the same as Rona. I often take on too much. And then I end up on Wednesday, like doing the housework, doing the shopping, washing, gardening, ironing, and possibly seeing a friend. And then I've done nothing for my studies. So it's being
Those things
stricter.
that you can say no to. I'm putting you on the spot here, but actually
I
that
could say no to all of it. I just don't, because I feel,
though, like, is it, or is there a bit of it that you're like, that's the bit that really gets in the way, that's got to go? Or is there, I'm just trying to kind of get you to that place where you can put that no in place a little bit more easily.
it's my own feeling. It's nobody else pulling me away. It's me. My priorities need to switch around, or sure, I do those other things on other days, or even if I do 10 minutes in the evening each day. Or
That sounds like a good. Would that set you up? Do you feel like?
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. I've written myself out I'm quite good at habits and routines. So I don't know, most of us, you get up in the morning and everything you do in the morning is automated. You wash your face, clean your teeth, moisturize, and it's also putting those habits in at other times of day. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing, but again, not overdoing them.
Yeah.
Then you can spend all evening, and also my evening commitments. I really like doing things in the evening with other people, because I like being with other people, that community thing. But sometimes that's too many nights a week, and I need to look at that.
Maybe there's a maximum number, so that there's.
Yeah, I was trying 3. This week it's ended up as 4. Last week it was 4. Yeah, but I am giving up one of my committees in April.
And is there something around some joint accountability around this is a guess, but by April, May, June, July, I'm going to be working 3 days? Is that, because I don't know, like, I'm inquiring in terms
that sounds a bit soon, because I want to do my study, do my exam, and then explore. And
something like that in place when you need it is the kind of accountability that will keep you moving forward. And
yes, and work is they're already open to that. If I'd go down from 4 to 3, they're fine with that.
That kind of that's in place already, or that's available to you, isn't it?
Yes, when I'm ready for it. They just said let them know. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And I remember last week I said something about I was going to track my vegetable intake. So I've written a whole list of plant foods out, and I'm ticking them each day to see what variety I get. And then from there, I'm going to go from variety to quantity, like a portion of each veg, not just a bit to say I've had that one.
There's something quite powerful about you embodying that to then, before you learn it or like teach others, there is about.
Yeah, I got to be it myself before recommending other people.
Walk the walk. Exactly. Awesome. Okay, we're going to go back into the main room, share a little bit of these reflections, use each other as accountability as well. And then, yes, I will see you in 10 seconds.
Thank you.
Oh, 60 seconds, actually. It got longer than we need, longer than we thought. There we go. Let me see if I can go into the other one or not. It might not let me, actually.
Oh, I've got the option to leave now, it says.
Oh, there we go. Let's try and do that if we can then. Oh, yeah, so do I.
I could just show you one fun thing. I have a bingo pen.
Oh, yeah.
And I've created myself a tracker. I don't know if that's shown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't have the bingo pen with me this morning, but going to use my bingo pen to mark off my water and my veg and fruit.
Oh, I love that. That's a bit of fun. Like, I don't know, finding the joy in that. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like when you have a to-do list and you're like, you get the brightest pen and you're like, yeah, and
Yes.
you go, right the way through. There's something
Like,
so
yeah, stickers and that just make things, more joyous.
amazing. Welcome back, everybody. So we're just going to go around the room and just share your kind of commitment, where you got to around that. Maybe ask if you need any accountability from anyone in the room, including me as well, so that we can hold you to account with this. Yeah, let's start there, and then we're going to just talk a little bit about probably what what the favorite bit just for me and Lizzie in terms of like how we move forward as well, because we're continually reviewing this program, tweaking it and changing it, so that would be super useful. Rona, do you want to go first, because I've given myself some accountability around your one?
Yeah, so I think so the thing I need to focus on is finding a physical space to go and sort of reconnect with the things that with ideas and concepts around how I manage my energy better. So it's kind of that difference between knowing what I need to do and then just sort of actually putting it into practice. And that bit about trying to learn to, what's the phrase I'm looking for, Natalie? I don't know,
like introspection, isn't it? It's like being aware of our internal environment and that whole parasympathetic nervous system of like our body's always showing us the signs, but we're not tuned in. It's kind of like figuring out or rebuilding that like body, like mind body connection almost, isn't it? We live so much up here,
and I think that's gotta be crucial in my weight loss. That it just seems
there's a disconnect. There's some kind of disconnect that maybe isn't allowing you to drop into your body and actually kind of move. I think I said to Lizzie, I stayed at that point where I understood a lot of this work, but then actually integrating it and embodying it is very different. And the physical space will be a really big part of that, because actually you show up differently. You bring your whole self, right? There's no like distractions of like someone walking in or it's not the same. So I do think that's important.
So that's me. I think that was it in a nutshell.
Sam, what were yours? What was your big one?
Yeah, for me it was quite similar actually, about where my energy level is at as I kind of start each day, most days, like making sure in terms of what I want to commit to, like making sure I've checked in with myself first where my energy levels are at, and I'm in that state of flow to then do the things that I want to do. And then in terms of commitment ways, I find like having a deadline works well for me. Being held accountable works well as well. And putting it in my diary as well, like physically putting in, like, maybe it's like 30-minute self-care or like prepping for some event or whatever it is. But if I don't, then the week can go and I'll be like, oh, like where did the week go? So really setting it in stone. And we're chatting about at the moment, I usually do that online, but I have got like a nice planner for 2022 to physically write it as well. And then maybe really like have more of an intentional way of doing things, like, and just making it more playful as well. Sometimes it can feel quite serious. So I was saying like, how do I bring it in a more joyful way and have fun with the process rather than being too caught up in like the end goal and then getting there and being like, oh, I'm here. So really like having a kind of playfulness along the way with it. And
if we enjoy that in the moment, then it's more likely that we're going to kind of like shift that, isn't it? You say things like, I don't know, I've been speaking to people about their social media and the fact that they don't like doing their social media, but if you could say create a ritual out of it, of like you put a nice candle on, you have a really nice cup of tea, and maybe you treat yourself to a brownie, like that whole experience. Carol, you're going to come onto your bingo pen in a minute, which is exactly that.
I've got it here.
The pen, it's the pen makes it fun, right? And I think sometimes that's half of the battle, is like is getting to the starting the process. Yeah, tell us about that, Carol, a bit more, your bingo pen.
Get yourself a bingo pen, Sam. And then I've made my own planner. I just wrote some blank sheets out. And then, yeah, I tried to do what you're saying about doing, and, you know, plan your day, see how much time you have actually got and what are your priorities, which I need to practice more than preach. And I've now created a check sheet for my water intake so I can dab each 250ml glass to make it more fun.
Oh,
And
yeah. It's the
yeah,
little
so the thing I want to be accountable for is using my Wednesdays for the purpose that I intend to use them for, which is studying and not distracting or procrastinating and doing other things which need to be done but can wait or should have been done earlier.
And both of you, because we didn't directly ask you in terms of whether that's internal, external, or other, which is the three labels of like other being like more of an event or something that is not either inside or outside yourself. What would you say in terms of accountability style that you would need with that one, Carol?
Outer and other, because I have the deadline of the exam. So that should make me do it, but I don't want to be doing it all last minute. I want to do it slow and steady.
So there's a bit of both there, which shapes how then you set yourself up for success, which is Lizzie's point around, depending on what it is and what the timeline is, it might need a blend of a few different ones. And you might mix it up because actually different days, you have different elements of willpower. Some days I can be my own accountability. Other days I need to really draw in some support from others as well.
Sure.
Rona, what about you on the one we've discussed? What does that feel like in terms of the accountability commitment style there?
I'm not sure if I'm quite getting it, but it feels like it's outer.
Is it more about someone else, being accountable to someone else, or is it kind of more about, so with that well-being space, is it more useful to you if we co-create the day and time that we're going to go, and then, which is what I've said to you, like we're going to do, or is it about signing up to an external event? Like this, that's the difference. It's whether it's about that person or whether actually that event or workshop, because people can sign up to an event or workshop or 5k or 10k and still not go, because that, but for me, a commitment to a person is very hard for me to fall back on. Like if I say I'm going to go for a run with someone and don't turn up, that's something I can't, because I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So you see how it's driven by your nature a little bit more, in that if I need ultimate accountability, I need to pull in someone else from the external to really get me over the line there.
Yeah, I think it's with the person. Yeah, that's external. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. And depending on what you need at certain times, you might need. Yeah, it depends on how hard that shift is to make a lot of the time as well.
I think it's connection with the person as well, because I think what I've struggled with here is that I've wanted to have a more meaningful connection with all of you, but I feel like I haven't achieved that very well.
That might be the nature of it being digital, and that's why as well, like there is a massive sense of the fact that actually this work in person is so much more powerful. So you know, that might just be a really great lesson, Rona, for you, in terms of why we got to the point where a physical space for you in your journey is so important, because actually you show up differently. But actually some people, the safe space around showing up online and having that privacy is really important, say if you're more introverted. So it's knowing yourself and then knowing what you need. So maybe it's just the learning fact that it didn't kind of push you maybe enough.
And interestingly, so one of this groups of people that I find most challenging in my life are my family, and who don't live locally. But actually our relationship has gone from strength to strength during the pandemic, because we've done weekly quizzes online. So actually that has enabled me to have a really good relationship with them. But like, it's like my energy hasn't got all messed up with their energy because the medium has created
some space,
a distance from them to be with them, but not like be with them.
Reflection.
Mm,
Need different approaches, whereas with this it felt like to show up embodied, right, that physical layer would have really been the difference for you. So in different spaces you almost really need different types of accountability to come in, and that's a massive learning, the fact that actually you're going to be now sourcing this or looking for this offering that absolutely exists. So it's all part of the process, isn't it, really? A quick round the table. Best bit, whether it's 1, 2, 3, something really specific. What's the key learning bit that you feel like you're going to be able to take forward? Just because it helps us constantly review the program and make sure that it's fit for purpose. That's my Christmas January job.
best bit for me was the values, because once you've determined them for right now, it does make other decisions easier.
They're quite simple too. Like it's actually like when I first did it, I was like, oh my God, like actually it's quite easy for you to get your mind on logically as well.
But it is, yeah, using this hour a week, this space to think about it.
Okay, what about you, Sam?
Also values, and I would say that finding your crew as well was a good insight of recognizing people that are there, but also what else I'd like to bring in as well, because I feel connection is really important for me too. So yeah, that was a good part of it as well.
Awesome, thank you. And Brona?
Yeah, I think the values bit, I think that was some of the biggest revelation quite early on there, around recognizing the values that I've sort of adopted as a coping, rather than
maybe they were like maybe learn, or they were adopted rather than
being authentic sort of views. So I think that's been the most helpful bit, because I think if you get a better understanding of that bit, then the other stuff follows. You don't really have that bit right, then
it's the whole Simon Sinek, like why, how are you finding a why without your who, because actually your who makes up your why. And what about the bit that maybe didn't resonate as much? Because again, like I've got a feeling on what probably this is, but again, it's really interesting to understand that from our perspective just moving forward, because I'm constantly updating this process. Like this is the 3rd time we've ran it, so it is still pretty new.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry. No, you finish, Rona.
I'm not sure an hour is long enough.
So would you rather than be an hour and a half, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
There's an element of the content, and this is the balance me and Lizzie always try to find, is content versus the reflection. And I think actually the content could easily be 45 minutes to then have 45 minutes reflection. And that's actually something I've been thinking about. So it's really useful actually for you to, as long as you don't feel like it's too much time to give up.
No, see, I think that makes it, like, for me anyway, I think that would feel more meaningful, because I know that's a lot to do with me and my responsibility in this relationship, but I know I could have called on you at any point to have one-to-ones, and I'm really aware that I didn't.
But you will. We're still having one in January, and you're coming to Santosha with me.
Yeah.
You're not getting away with it.
On one hand, that's my own bad. On the other hand, maybe a more scheduled one-to-one catch-up.
Yeah.
Just to have helped me a bit in between time.
Might have forced you into it. Interestingly, for the first 2 cohorts, they were scheduled at specific weeks, and the feedback was that people didn't want them scheduled at specific weeks, so we went the other way. But I think that might be that we land in the middle of like creating that with the individual at the beginning, and actually setting up with the program on for the individual from the start, rather than trying to make it fit everyone, because I think that's quite a personal isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult balance to strike that.
Thank you, though. Really helpful. What about you, Sam?
I was going to say I'd like more of like the drop-ins. I love like that kind of dropping in first and like letting, because sometimes if you've had a busy day and your mind's a bit like crazy with stuff that's happened, so you just having just like that 5-10 minute drop in to start and just tune in where you're at. I feel from that space I'm more connected to the truth of what wants to come out rather than it be more maybe from my mind. So I love that. I think incorporating more of that is really good to just even just like connect to the energy of everyone in the group as well, and just settles the kind of everybody's day, you know, to just bring us together in a really nice way. That I love that. So yeah, more of that would be great.
Thank you. That's so helpful. And I think it's interesting from you, Sam, because you deliver programs like this, right? And I'm going to be like, me and Sam created some accountability around me supporting her with the value work, and then me doing some more embodiment work. It actually might be amazing, Sam, for you to connect with Rona as well around the embodiment, because Sam does a lot of embodiment work. So
that'd be great.
Because I know I'm coming onto your program in the new year. So sometimes it's about understanding what you need and pulling that from others as well. And this is about, and I'll talk about the alumni just for a few minutes at the end, but these relationships don't stop here. Like the alumni that we've brought together from the whole year, there's people coming in running yoga classes, there's people running meditation sessions. We've got a lady running, she's just started like a temple spa, thing, and she's doing us a session in January to celebrate and reward everybody. But it's about a space that's always there as a container every month to check in on the conversation and realize, oh my God, my leader within, I've completely forgotten her. Actually, like, this bubble's there and you can come and go, as you please. But I think that's important because we have only just started this process and it's about continuing that. So we'll send some information on that, but we don't want it to be goodbye. Like, that for me is a really important like knowing there's people on the same journey of you and you're not isolated is massive, I think, here, because it can be isolating.
Yeah.
What about you, Carol?
I'm the same as Sam, because if you do the meditation or the breathing at the beginning, it just sets the scene, and it is the transition from one part of your day to another. And that, I've talked about my mentor before. She always does that at the beginning and the end of the session as well. And that is a really nice thing to do.
That's the action of being and doing, isn't it? And I think, again, it's really important to get those energies right, of actually showing up and allowing space to be, rather than always being in the doing energy of the content.
Yeah. And the other thing is about commitment. And some of it's financial. We've made a financial investment to this program, which when I do that, it means I'm more committed. I will turn up. And then it's being accountable because other people are expecting you to be there. And then doing the homework, there's nobody expecting you to be there at that time. Like you're saying, Rona, it's finding another session in the week to do that homework. And being accountable to yourself then is harder than being accountable to other people.
That's great feedback though as well, because there might be ways I can get you to bring a certain element of the homework to the session more, to make you show up in that space. Again, I'm really aware that I want people to pick and choose the bits that resonate. In that, Lizzie, on our last program, we had someone that didn't do any childhood essence because it wasn't relevant at the time, and people that skipped modules because they were just like, I'm not in that space right now. So it's having the fluidity to realize that's always going to be there for you, but then the accountability to force the action. So again, I think maybe that's something at the beginning that's co-created, like, how much can I push you? How much do you want me to ask you and push you to ensure that this work is done? Maybe that's a bespoke kind of agreement almost at the beginning.
Or maybe another thing we can do is, us participants can get together in the week if we wanted to. We could use each other more. And instead of doing your homework on your own in your bedroom, do it together.
Yeah, and and with that homework, it's really helpful to me because that initially is aimed at being an hour every week. But I get that some of it is a lot longer than that, because especially with the module 2, that is quite hard for you to do a visualization once and have all the answers. Like, that takes time. So I think there's just, there's it's an interesting one just to understand if that's I could do a whole 12-week program on just values. Like there's a lot in this course, and I more and more I think maybe I might divide it up a bit more, because there's a lot, almost too much, but then it's getting the right balance of like giving you enough tools but not also overwhelming you with that as well, I think is my biggest question mark.
One of my commitments to myself is to go through it all again.
Yeah, you've got it like forever, and I think for
Yeah.
people wanting to go on and become coaches and meditation teachers, like even having, you know, that process of you being able to go back and actually have ideas, like for you, Carol, in terms of your nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
it might be great learning for you to actually think about how you'd put a program together. Like
Yeah.
how I learned from my first business coach, she used Thinkific, and it's a great tool for you to then shape your own offerings to the world. So my next
Mm.
write one day is called A Whole New World, and it's all about life purpose into action, and it's about how do you, so this is almost where Carol's at now, how do you hone that skill and actually now create the business, the drive, the action in the world. And for me that's around like, yeah, being that in the world and actually creating the container. Is it a service? Is it a product? What does the brand feel like? What are the what is the logo like? It's really interesting, and I think for me that's an offering I want to create in the future as well, because it feels like we almost have just started. Like, what if we've just realized, like, yeah, this is my calling,
Yeah.
and then move it on? There's something there as well. But no, just thank you for being in this space really and saying yes, because it's not been an easy year. So to take on an extra commitment, like, you know, well done you, and we are always here for you. And like I say, let's have another call in January time where we can round it off properly, get some feedback in. And like I say, like the alumni's there, we've got a celebration event on the 10th of Jan that's going to be like a self-care like session. You're going to get a little gift pack in the post before that session. I will send you those details today so you can give me your addresses, but that'll be a really nice roundup for kind of the whole year really, and just also be a touch point to other people that have gone through the program. That's the community piece to this as well. But it's not the end really, which is why I don't like calling this like the last session. It's really just the beginning. But Lizzie, anything from you that you want to say?
Well, just on reflection to what Sam and I were talking about in terms of like our goals really, and just our goals is, you know, again, it's very much so not being totally fixated on the end goal, and, you know, living in the present moment, enjoying this present moment, and actually allowing your goals to be a nice balance between work and personal life as well, because sometimes we can fixate on, obviously, or what, for example, the career stuff as an example, and then we're not bringing so much joy into perhaps our personal life as an example. I'm just maybe saying this from like personal experience. So yeah, and doing that with love and kindness and compassion as well. So yeah, that's all from me.
Any other thoughts, feedback, comments, any questions that are left unanswered? Anyone else want to share anything before we let you go and have your evening?
I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a really amazing journey, and especially like you say, this year has been a bit of a mad year, but I'm so glad I showed up to do it, you know, and yeah, so just want to say a big thank you.
And well done, you know, showing up, Sam, because you've not had, you know, the easiest year, and at least it's given you that container and structure.
Yeah,
totally. One foot, you know, in front of the other.
Actually, Sam, I'd love to hear more about your program.
Maybe we are and Lizzie, we're going to be
on.
Yeah,
I kind of started pulling it together, and then it went on hold. But I would still love to do it, and I know me and you, Natalie, have spoke a lot about it. So yeah, I'll
do share it.
Let you know.
Intro session in the alumni at one of the ones next year, and introduce. At least then that's what the alumni is for. So there's probably about 20 people in there now, but it's about everyone's offerings, like being on the table, and then people picking and choosing the bit that they resonate with, and like always being connected to kind of that space where actually you'll find the next thing for you, because it's a constant journey of like crystal healing, meditation, there's so much, but actually unless you're in the right space, you don't continue to grow. So I'd like to offer that there, Sam, and then see who wants to then almost move into that including myself.
Yeah, that would be great. I will. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, I'll follow up in an email probably tomorrow morning, and please
Okay.
book a call with me for January. Carol's already done it one step ahead. See you on
Yep.
that'll be a date for your diary as well. I'll send an invite.
Lovely.
Yeah, celebrating you all.
Indeed. Oh.
Thank you.
It's been
Thank
amazing,
you very much.
everyone.
Happy Christmas and
Yeah. Have a nice Christmas.
Christmas. It feels like that's a long way away still. I haven't got my I'm moving house this Wednesday as well, finally.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
I thought you'd already moved.
Gonna be-
Good luck with that.
Yeah, fingers crossed I'll actually be in on Wednesday, thinking about me like lugging furniture.
Mm.
Anyway, I'll be checking in for my new space. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
thank you.
Have a
Okay,
lovely
take
Christmas,
care. Good
everyone.
night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.